Hey guys, it's Conf College Studios here, and what you're seeing right now is what I believe very well could be Six Flags Great Adventure's new roller coaster set to open in 2027 or 2026, whenever it winds up happening. But we have been following this project ever since Kingda was announced to be closing, and of course following all through Kingda's demo up into when we started seeing construction for the new attraction. I wanted to wait to make a prediction like this until I got to actually be on the ground myself. I got to fly the drone over the site as well as be on the ground itself and be able to walk around through all of the footers. And given what we know right now, which really is not very much in terms of public information from the park themselves, this is what I believe is probably my best guess at what the ride is most likely going to be. Obviously, it is that Mach Tower Extreme Spinning Coaster. This one that I have built sits at 370 feet, at least that's where the track gets up to. The tower is a little bit larger, obviously, with the support structure as well as the flag on top. It's around 400 feet. You can see that the station is not set up exactly as I think it will be. I think it'll be a switch track station, very similar to the style of Mr. Freeze Reverse Blast at both Six Flags Over Texas and St. Louis, where the station has two different trains that can slide back and forth. Obviously, I can't really do that in Planet Coaster 2, which is where this ride was created. But you're going to start off with that launch out of the station. I have this launch hitting around 71 miles per hour. Is that what it's actually going to be? No clue. It's just a guess. This actually does follow the exact path. Getting the footers down pat to be exactly with where they are in real life, that's not really too easy in Planet Coaster. It was difficult enough to get the entire geoscale of the park in the way I did. So obviously, there's some kind of liberties taken with how accurate it actually is. It's more so about the shaping of the track and the way it looks in the skyline that I was trying to capture here. Another thing that I couldn't do in Planet Coaster was the upside down launch. For whatever reason, the game doesn't allow me to do that. But imagine that there probably would be an upside down launch inside of that zero-G stall. And what you'll notice about that stall is that it does contain that right-hand curve slightly that can be seen from the layout of the footers, because it's not a perfect straight line like the concept art that was originally shared in all of the surveys is. It's a little bit different. The height of this stall sits at around 130 feet. Is that what it's actually going to be? Again, no way of really knowing, but this was based off the length in which their footers are separated so that you can kind of see where the stall begins and where it ends, because that's where the footers kind of spread out and come back in on themselves. When you're looking at the site from an aerial view or even just on the ground, you can kind of see how it splits off. After that, it's a little bit tricky to know exactly what's going to happen. We don't know for sure if it's going to continue straight after that or if it's going to turn right and go towards where Kingda's tower used to be. My personal thought is that it's probably just going to keep going straight and it's going to go into the tower as you see there. Now, the one thing I'm not 100% sure on in terms of my recreation here, or pre-creation I should say, is the straight track that leads up into the tower. I had to put that straight track there because, like I said, Planet Coaster does not allow me to do an upside down launch. So in order to get up to speed in a realistic manner, that was the way I had to do it. Do I think that's actually going to be the way it is? Not too sure. No real way of knowing until we see the footer layout actually all done, as well as the supports and tracks going in place. But then, of course, you go up into the tower, and the tower shaping in terms of the track profiling, not 100% sure if this is how it's going to wind up being. We don't get a super clear view of exactly how it's set up in the survey, so this was kind of my best guess at what it may wind up being in a more realistic manner. Could it maybe start the ascent a little earlier, start climbing a little later? We really don't know. We're not going to know until we see more evidence of this attraction, if this is what it winds up being. But this is the way I have it set up right now. So you kind of start rising up, you get that nice pop of airtime, you go into that gentle turn that winds up banking outwards at the last second, so that the first couple of cars do actually get that full tilt feeling. The back car, unfortunately, doesn't get that. I'd imagine that in the final design, again, assuming that this is what the ride winds up being, maybe they'll modify it a little bit so you do get that extra bit of tilt in the further back rows, but I digress. You then roll backwards and then hit the second launch, which slows you down a little bit, brings you through the stall, and then that's the end of the ride. I did not do many details on the queue or the station at all. I just kind of made it look somewhat presentable for you guys and then just really focused on the coaster and all of that. I'd imagine as we get closer to the ride actually like really being there, that's when I'll make a more detailed kind of prediction of what it's actually going to look like. Same thing with the color schemes. Superman's color scheme I kept exactly the same as it currently is. Do I think that's going to stay that way? Maybe. I don't think it'll keep the Superman theme forever. If the ride does stay there forever, I'd imagine the entire area is going to get a bit of an overhaul, which will obviously include Superman since it is right there. And as for the color scheme of the Mach Tower spinner itself, this is just the color scheme that came from the animation, or the survey rather. Is this actually what it's going to be? Really no clue. Personally, I do think that if they go with the boardwalk / beach theme, that'd be really cool to see them go for like a lighthouse theme. The tower obviously would fit perfectly with that, and it would kind of tie into New Jersey itself, of course, with Barnegat having the lighthouse, and I think that would just overall look really, really nice. Now, I'd imagine that there are going to be quite a few people who are maybe going to disagree with this and just still think that this coaster is not going to happen, at least not like this. And to that, I say, just look at the footers. I mean, to me, it's pretty obvious that there's only going to be one section going by. It's not going to be a full circuit. There's just not enough footers down by the station for that to happen. And you can see the way the switch track is set up as well. In order for them to have the maintenance bay, it's pretty clear when you look at it from an overhead that that's how it's going to be. In addition to that, you can see just going all the way down that, yes, while the stall kind of looks a little strange with the way it turns and everything, that wasn't really what we expected. At the end of the day, I think it's still kind of looking exactly like this. Of course, this does not mean that this is what's confirmed for the park. They have not made an announcement, and if I had to guess, we're not going to see an announcement on this coaster, or at least the specifics of it, for quite a while. I'd say definitely until at least 2026. But with that being said, feel free to comment your thoughts on this pre-creation I made, if you think it's going to be accurate, what you think the color scheme is going to be, all of that, leave it down in the comments below. But before I leave you guys with the coaster, I did want to make a quick announcement that we are launching a brand new Discord server called the Unload Station. If you're interested in that and want to chat with other coaster enthusiasts, the link is down below to join the server, which launches as this video is releasing right now. But with all that, enjoy the footage of the coaster.